Good morning and welcome. I am Joanne Jessen, a member of the board at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Reston. Whether you are on Zoom or here in the church sanctuary, we are so glad you are with us this morning. No matter how old or how young you are, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, however you identify and whomever you love, know you are welcome here. I'd like to invite Julia Norrgard to come and make an announcement. Julia, are you? Here she is.
Everybody, I think knows already that the Scandinavian dinner is this coming Saturday. Oh my, Some people have
Zoom.
Hello. The Scandinavian dinner is this coming Saturday. We have lots of great food. We can always take more great food. But what I really need are strong people to help us clean up afterward because these damn tables weigh a lot. And I can't lift them. So if you would help out, I'd really appreciate it. You can see me after church or just be here and do it. Thank you.
As many of you know, we had the alternative gift market and craft fair yesterday. Many of you were volunteers. Denise Kerwin is going to make a short announcement about the success of the day. Come up here.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone who made yesterday's alternative gift market a resounding success. Particularly my committee members, Ann Welch, Maggie Mack, Annie Simpson, Judy Erickson, Nancy Gordon Brooks, and Dora Anderson, as well as all of you out there who volunteered, which was a lot of you, and everybody who participated. It's still not too late to participate. I'll be in the foyer after church. You can fill out your shopping form and get your cards and inserts. We raised a total, as of right now, $25,383.
That's great. Also in the foyer after church, Judy Palazzati will be collecting the gift cards for Cornerstones, so she'll be sitting at the table. And congregants of all ages are invited to join the choir next Sunday, December 10th at 2 p.m. to go caroling at local retirement communities. No experience is necessary, and lyric sheets will be provided. We hope you will come along for this special UUCR holiday tradition and look for further information in the email newsletter this week. Visitors and newcomers are invited to join Reverend Aileen for coffee today during the coffee hour. She will be in the boardroom off the East Foyer for conversations with newcomers who want to get better acquainted with the church and the minister. Bring your coffee and your questions. Newcomers' coffee will run until 11:30 when Science Sunday will begin. You're invited to join us at 11:30 for Science Sunday when we will present eminent biologist Dr. Ursula Goodenough as our presenter. And I am saying that correctly. Dr. Goodenough is Professor Emerita of Biology at Washington University, where her research focuses on genetics, cell biology, and evolution. An award-winning author, Dr. Goodenough is one of the best-known voices in the religious naturalist orientation. We are delighted that she is with us today. Science Sunday will take place here in the sanctuary and streamed live on Zoom in the same Zoom link as the worship service. So if you wish to attend on Zoom, simply stay in the same Zoom space. And we hope you'll all join us for a very interesting and enlightening Science Sunday. And finally, this is the last one, Cups, after the Science Sunday, then Cups is going to have a witch ball crafting workshop for all ages at 1:30 or following Science Sunday. Now, let us center for worship. Please take some deep, quieting breaths with me. Let us enter our time of worship together as we enjoy this morning's prelude.
Good morning, I'm Reverend Aileen Fitzke. Our opening words are a tribute to our Jewish siblings of faith who will be celebrating Hanukkah later this week. The UU Hanukkah Blessings by Lorenzo Bassman. We honor the great mystery of the universe, the source of all, which deems everything sacred by its power to unite us, and gives us the radiance that we bring forth together as we kindle the Hanukkah lights. We celebrate the spirit of life, wellspring of all that we perceive and imagine, as we look upon with reverence the wondrous great fortune which has been bestowed upon our ancestors throughout antiquity. We cherish the wonder of each thing, the order of the universe that binds us together with all of nature, for giving us life, for sustaining us, for enabling us to reach this season. We will not actually light the candles, as Hanukkah does not begin till the end of the week.
In celebration of Hanukkah, our opening hymn today is number 221, Light One Candle. So please rise in body or spirit and join us. Light one candle for the unhappy children, with thanks that
Our chalice lighting passage today is by Reverend Rebecca A. Savage and is entitled Welcome Mystery. As people of faith and wonder, we welcome in the delight of mystery, the awe of unfolding adventures, the expansiveness of what it means to behold mystery as a gift to the imagination. Too often we relax into routines, finding comfort in old habits, and give in to the confines of our lives. In this time of worship together, may our hearts be nudged open to what may be. May our spirits be wrapped in curiosity to seek mystery and welcome her in. May our time together this day remind us to stay open, stay inquisitive of what we do not understand, and be inspired to stretch ourselves into new ways of being. Welcome mystery. Welcome into our hearts and in our time of worship together.
Here at UUCR, we have a beloved tradition of singing a covenant together every Sunday. Love is the spirit of this church. So we invite you to remain seated as we sing our covenant together. And if you are visiting this morning for the first time, we hope you will accept this song as our blessing to you.
Yes, yay! It is now time for all ages. So if you are feeling young of body, I invite you to come forward. There's space on the floor. And welcome, welcome, wherever you are. Our story today is in honor of Hanukkah, which begins on Thursday. Hanukkah is a Jewish holiday celebrating the rededication of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, and the Jews regaining the right to follow their religious beliefs after defeating the Syrian Greeks over 2,000 years ago. The story is a parakeet named Dreidel, and it's by Isaac Bashevis Singer, and it comes in a lot of story collections and a picture book, and we're just showing the cover of that. So let's begin. It happened over 10 years, or almost 10 years ago, in Brooklyn, New York. All day long, heavy snow was falling. Towards the evening, the sky cleared and a few stars appeared. A frost set in. It was the 8th day of Hanukkah, and my silver lamp stood on the windowsill with all the candles burning. Esther was frying potato pancakes, and I sat with my son David at a table and played dreidel with him. The menorah and the potato pancakes, fried in oil, are reminders of the miracle story of the temple lamp that burned for 8 days after the temple was won back, even though there was only enough oil for 1 day. That was amazing. And the Hebrew letters on the dreidel indicate a great miracle happened. And back to our story. Suddenly, David cried out, "Papa, look!" and pointed to the window. Outside on the windowsill stood a yellow-green bird watching the candles. In a moment, I understood what had happened. A parakeet had escaped from its home somewhere, had flown out into the cold street, and landed on my windowsill, perhaps attracted by the light. A parakeet is native to a warm clime, and it can't stand the cold and frost very long. I immediately took steps to save the bird from freezing. First, I carried away the Hanukkah lamp so the bird would not burn itself. Then I opened the window and with a quick wave of my hand, shooed the parakeet inside. In the beginning, the frightened bird flew from wall to wall. Presently, the bird flew toward David and landed on his head, as though it had been trained and was accustomed to people. David began to dance and laugh with joy. Esther heard the noise and came to see what had happened. She asked, "Where did you get a bird all of a sudden?" "Mama, it just came to our window. Papa saved its life." The parakeet saw the dreidel and began to push it with its beak, and David exclaimed, "Look, the bird plays dreidel." David soon talked about buying a cage for the bird, but Esther and I reminded him that the bird was not ours. We would try to find the owner, who probably missed their pet. And David said, "Meanwhile, let's call him Dreidel." The bird must have belonged to a house where Yiddish was spoken, because early the next morning we heard it say, "Zeldele, geh schlafen," which means, "Zeldele, go to sleep." The next day, I posted a notice in the elevators of the neighborhood and in the newspaper. But a week went by and no one claimed the bird. Only then did Dreidel become ours. 9 years passed and Dreidel remained with us. We became more attached with him from day to day. Our son grew up and went to college. One winter night, he went to a Hanukkah party. He told us he would be home late, and we had just fallen asleep when the telephone rang. It was David, and he spoke so excitedly we could barely understand what he was saying. David had told the story of our parakeet, and a girl named Zelda Rosen had exclaimed, "I'm Zeldele. We lost our parakeet 9 years ago." Zelda was now a student and a friend of David's. She had never visited us before, although our son spoke of her often. The next day, Zelda and her parents came to see their long-lost pet. Not only did they recognize the bird, but the bird seemed to recognize them. The Rosens used to call him Sip Sip, and when the parakeet heard them say Sip Sip, he started to fly from one member of the family to the other. Both Zelda and her mother cried when they saw their beloved bird. The father stared silently. Then he said, "We have never forgotten our Sip Sip." I was ready to return the parakeet to its owner, but Esther and David argued that they could never part with Dreidel. It was also not necessary, because that day, David and Zelda decided to get married after they graduated from college. So, Dreidel is still with us. On Hanukkah, he always gets a gift and eats potato pancakes, as befits a bird named Dreidel. That's the end of our story, and I hope you have a good Hanukkah for all who celebrate. We'll now sing the children out with Go With Joy.
Thank you.
Now is the time in our service when we share our joys and concerns, so that no one ever has to hold them alone. If you are joining us remotely this morning, you may wish to light a real or virtual candle wherever you are to mark what is in your heart. As members of the in-person congregation here at UUCR, place stones in the water here in the sanctuary. If those of you at home would like to share what is on your heart today in the congregational chat on the screen, please write to all attendees. And please remember that what you share is public. Those at home may then read others' joys and concerns in the chat and enter into your own time of reflection and prayer. As we listen to the choir sing our meditation music for the stones. prayer. Let us be one in prayer and meditation. Spirit of life and love that so faithfully animates our creation, we are grateful for this community that is with us in times of both joy and sorrow. We hold in our hearts this morning all who are facing any hardship or difficulty, those who are grieving or facing illness or disability in themselves, their friends, or their loved ones. In particular, this morning, we hold in our hearts and prayers the Israeli and Palestinian people, and we light this candle for peace. Now please join me for a moment of silence.
As a self-funded church, UUCR relies on the generosity of its members and friends to fund daily operations and ensure that the church and its resources are here for us and for others, now and in the future. Pledges support our worship and music programs, our religious education programs for members and friends, community outreach, and connections to Unitarian Universalism. We now invite you to support the work of UU Reston by making your donation to the collection plate if you are here in the sanctuary, or at the link on the slide and in the chat box. Thank you for your generosity and support of our beloved spiritual home.
Thank you again to the choir. I love mystery novels. I started reading them as a child when my father introduced me to Agatha Christie. I've read all of her novels, some of them many times. What I love about them is that throughout the whole thing, the reader is given a puzzle, and for Agatha Christie, the puzzle is the thing. Hers were not character-driven novels, but thoroughly plot-driven. Some more contemporary mystery novels also include ongoing character development as the series progresses, but not Agatha Christie. Hercule Poirot and Miss Marple remain wholly themselves, no matter which of their many novels I might read. I don't have to worry I am not caught up on their love lives if I've read them out of order, or whether they had another child, or whether the relationships with other not recurring characters is in trouble. For Agatha Christie, it was the mystery, the puzzle, the thing the reader needed to figure out, given the clues in the appropriate order. And though some of the murders were highly unlikely, and some of them unbelievable as far as motive and construction were concerned, they were entertaining and fun. And the novels almost always come to a satisfying conclusion, all the loose ends tied up. This morning, we remember Hanukkah, that feast celebrated by our Jewish siblings, and perhaps many of us here may still value the celebration and celebrate it ourselves. It is the story of military victory, as well as a story of a miracle. Often called the Festival of Lights, this holiday celebrates the miracle of a small jar of oil. After the military victory of the Maccabees and the reclaiming of the temple from the Syrian Greek occupiers, the Jews had to purify and rededicate the temple. But they only had enough oil for 1 day of light, because it took 8 days for them to prepare more oil for the purification. But that one little oil lamp lasted 8 days. Miracles are mysteries. Did the miracle happen? Or was it just a story? And is a story ever just a story? Isn't any story the meaning we give to it? For many Jewish people, the story is more than just a miracle story. Rather, it is a story of resilience and survival against a much stronger enemy. A battle that had limited chance of being successful, and yet it was. It was about holding on to and maintaining Jewish identity against great odds. We UUs often balk at the idea of mystery, great unknowns. One time in one of my UU congregations, a member stood up and said, "If there are any mysteries left in the world, it is only a matter of time before science figures them out." And I thought, isn't that arrogant? Anyone who has ever studied anything with great depth knows that the more anyone knows about any topic, the more they realize that there is always going to be so much more that they don't know. And there are ways of knowing and understanding the world and a whole host of singular experiences that can never be proven or disproven because there is no way to reproduce or replicate them for scientific study. Science, no matter how sophisticated, can never answer all the mysteries found in this life. At its best, it can give us new questions and new mysteries and new puzzles to be solved. I was at my 42nd high school class reunion this past Thanksgiving weekend. I graduated in 1981. And just as an aside, and a weird coincidence, as we were driving to the reunion, the radio station we were listening to, by some weird coincidence, was playing the top 40 pop hits from 1981. It was a 1980s themed station, but still, the odds, it's a mystery. These reunions are very emotion-laden because suddenly you find yourself looking back. Who was I in high school? Where has my life gone since then? In the last 42 years, did my life take the trajectory I imagined it would when I was 18? The answer to that last question, of course, is no. My life turned out totally differently than I imagined in high school. Because life itself is a mystery. Any life. Yes, we know biologically how we got here, but the rest, the choices we make, where we will live, how we will live, what we will encounter on the way that we could never have anticipated. We live in enduring, ongoing mystery. In her book, Before the Big Bang, theoretical physicist Laura Marcini Houghton wrote about Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. For cosmologists, she wrote, the implication of Heisenberg's principle is simple. We cannot predict what will happen to the universe. The best we can do is calculate and speak to the probabilities that these events may come into existence. The consequences for the whole universe are alarming. They imply that nothing in the quantum universe can be determined with certainty, ever. Well, so much for science figuring out everything. Years ago, I worked in a cardiac institute of a university hospital. My boss was a cardiac surgeon. During the performance of a routine cardiac surgery, he introduced 2 drugs to the patient. One of the drugs was used routinely during this surgery. The second they decided to try because they wanted to counteract some known effects of the first drug. Combining these 2 drugs, they thought, would be more beneficial for the patient during surgery. What happened instead was the combination of the 2 drugs stopped the patient's heart. This was totally novel and unexpected outcome. The patient was fine, but then it became our job to figure out what had happened. What was the mechanism of interaction that had caused this to happen? There's this concept called emergence, which I learned from Ursula, that is, that properties of an object or system are beyond what is expected or even dreamed of by its individual parts. Emergence is found in individual organisms and is found in complex systems like congregational communities. As Ursula Goodenough writes in her book, The Sacred Depth of Nature, emergence is nature's mode of creativity. We note this every time we have children. What emerges from this mixing of DNA is very different each time. My two children, while similar, are very different from each other. And it's what happened when those two drugs were introduced into that surgery. A reaction happened that was novel and unexpected. And what do we gain from this? What do we learn from this uncertainty and this emergence of unique properties and systems? Is the ability to live in the mystery of the unknown, to be surprised and sometimes amazed. We learn to navigate uncertainty and experience wonder. I think that this is the role of our great religious and philosophical traditions, past and present, to help us make sense of the mystery, though perhaps not totally transcend it. The Buddhist teacher Pema Chodron writes in her book, Comfortable with Uncertainty, those who train wholeheartedly in awaking bodhicitta are called bodhisattvas, or warriors. Not warriors who kill, but warriors of non-aggression who hear the cries of the world. A warrior accepts that we can never know what will happen to us next. We can try and control the uncontrollable by looking for security and predictability, always hoping to be comfortable and safe. But the truth is, we can never avoid uncertainty. This not knowing is part of the adventure. Our tools are sitting meditation, Tonglen, slogan practice, and cultivating the 4 limitless qualities of loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. And she tells us to ask the question, do I prefer to grow up and face life directly, or do I choose to live and die in fear? In choosing not to live in fear, we open ourselves up to gratitude, generosity, and wonder. This fall, driving to church along Wheelie Avenue, there is an almost canopy of trees as we moved from summer to fall that became ablaze with the fall colors. Each time I drove through, I was struck by the beauty of the scene, even as I drove it several times during the week. Each time it struck me with its beauty. Christian spiritual writer Karen Wright Marsh writes in her book, Wake Up to Wonder, I have been learning the richest spiritual life is not about achievement. It is about amazement. It's not about labor, it's about play. And it does call for curiosity, persistence, and a measure of courage. To wake up in the morning and look, really look, at the universe near and far. The mystery writer Ellery Queen, at the end of his many stories, has a practice. Before he revealed the identity of the killer or perpetrator of the crime, he had a challenge to the reader. While specific to each of his books, it read something like this. Dear reader, you are now in possession of all the clues, and you should be able to solve the mystery. It gave the reader a chance to work through the solution themselves before reading the ending. Though, even if we have all the clues, sometimes the ending is still a surprise. And other mystery writers give a solution, but leave enough ambiguity that the reader questions if even the author's solution is correct. That is, the mystery ends in yet another mystery. The reality is that none of us can know everything. The book I mentioned earlier, Before the Big Bang, after she describes Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, Laura Mersini Houghton goes on to explain multiverses and string theory, and even in her simplified explanations, I found myself floundering. So I decided, maybe for me, leaving those to the mystery might work out best. The mystic, theologian, and civil rights activist Howard Thurman wrote in his Meditations of the Heart, the way in which to live in the mystery, to drink in the beauty that is within reach, to clothe one's life with simple deeds of kindness, to keep alive a sensitiveness to the movement of the Spirit of God, in the quietness of the human heart and the working of the human mind. Amen, and blessed be.
Our closing hymn today is number 398, To See the World. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing.
Our benediction this morning is Ursula Goodenough's rendering of the Lord's Prayer, a Mother Nature's prayer. Our Mother, who art within us, hallowed be thy name. Thy ways evolve, thy will calls forth, this earth that is now our heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and fill us with tenderness as we repair our trespasses. And lead us not into destruction, but deliver us into harmony. For thine is our wellspring and our grounding and our glory forever and ever. Amen.
And now we extinguish this flame. but not the light of hope and truth, the warmth of community, nor the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
We invite our congregants to join us in the sanctuary for coffee, tea, and fellowship, and the coffee will be set up in the back today. Those attending worship on Zoom can join us for our virtual Greet Your Neighbor coffee hour to discuss the service and enjoy fellowship with other congregants. The link is in the chat box and will be on a forthcoming slide. We hope that you will use the chat box as a virtual receiving line to leave a message about your appreciation for the worship service today. As a reminder, visitors and newcomers are invited to grab coffee and join Reverend Aileen in the boardroom. That's on the other side of the foyer. And most importantly, Science Sunday will kick off in the sanctuary and on Zoom at 11:30. And this is a very special guest we have today for Science Sunday, so I hope you will all decide to join us. We're going to leave the chairs as they are set up, and so we ask you not to stack them. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.
We have a postlude. Our postlude today is a hymn which we are all going to sing together, hymn number 1003. The words are also on the back of your order of service. The choir is going to help us sing this part song together. This song has 4 distinct parts, and we will have 4 groups in the congregation. We did this together not that long ago, just a few weeks ago, so hopefully you will remember. So part 1 is going to be everyone here, right opposite me, and the people just on this triangle over here. This is part 1. And so the choir members right here in these 2 aisles are going to be singing with you, and your part is part number 1, and it goes like this. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? That's beautiful. And part 2 is this group here in these chairs right on this side of the room. And the choir members standing around you are going to help you out. And your part starts high. Where do we come from? Where do we come from? That was beautiful. And on this side of the room, we have part 3 and 4. But just to keep you all on your toes, part 4 is going to sing first. So this group right over here, you're part 4, and these singers over here are going to help you out. Let's sing part 4. Ready? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Sounds like you've got it. That's awesome. And our last group over here is the mystery group, and these lovely singers standing in the aisle are going to sing to you and with you, and this will be this triangle right over here. Are you ready? This is actually part 3 in the music. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Are you ready? Here we go. We're going to layer in everybody from the beginning. First group. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going?